Hello guys, welcome to this video tutorial. This is Sohail Abbasi from Merit Pros. Let's get started.
These are some of the commands to push the code to GitHub, right, via command line. Now, what is this command line? What is GitHub? What is Tortoise Git? All these things we need to understand. Let me come back to this point from here. For committing the code, there are two ways. Two ways to commit the code. I will show you both the ways. The first is by UI, that is Tortoise Git, and this is second is by command line. It means by command prompt. So that is nothing but your CMD. So from both these places, you can commit your code. And it's not just about committing the code. All the things, all are the basic operations, right? Obviously, there are plethora of operations which we can discuss for the Git. But right now, we are going to cover some of the important points, right? Some of the important points, what we can do through our Git. All right, let's start. So first, we are going to do it via UI, right? That is Tortoise Git. So if you see, if you focus clearly here on my folder, right, what I'm doing is the moment I right click, it gave me all these options: git pull, git push, git bash here, GUI, committing to the branch, because I've already provided the URL where generally we provide this URL. I will tell you that also, right? And here in the Tortoise Git, if you see, it is giving me merge the branch, switch the branch, or check out from the another branch. What is the difference? How to fetch the code, right? Pull the code means getting the code from the repository, and push the code means whatever the code you have in your local machine, you're pushing this code or sending this code or transferring this code to your cloud, right? Pull and push. Sync, basically to check the synchronization that the same code must be there in the repository as the code you have in your local machine. And then committing to different branches, how we can create the branch, how we can check the branches, everything we will see. This is your UI. For that, you have to download Tortoise Git and Simple Git in your machine. Two things you have to download, guys. Remember, Tortoise Git and Git, normal Git in your machine in order to use this UI. Is it clear, guys? The first way, Tortoise Git you have to download, Simple Git you have to download in order to commit your code via UI part. Is this part clear to everyone or not? Now let's proceed further and let's check the another way. So in the second part, when I say from the command line, how we can do it? Let me change intentionally some more thing here in my code, right? I'm going to change this part and you will see the red symbol here. Now this time, I'm not going to commit my code via UI. What I'm doing is I'm going to open command prompt. So let me open the command. Whatever the file I have changed, first I have to add this file to proceed further, to complete and to commit my code in the repository. Right now, first I'm committing my code, right? I'm showing you the commit process, and then I will tell you how to pull the code from the repositories and everything. All right. So here I'm going to write git add dot. It means whatever the files which are yet to be added for your repository, you are adding via command called git add dot. Now you see all the files are added. After this, I want to commit, right? I want to commit my code. Now, if you saw there, if you have observed there, I was selecting one option called commit and push via UI. But here I will do first commit and then I will push my code. So I will write git commit -m latest code for 21/2021. Right? This is just a message I'm providing. The message which I was providing on the upper side in the UI, the same message I'm providing here. And this is the command git commit -a. Now I'm simply committing. So it says, this is the branch. You are going to commit the code with this particular message. Your one file has changed. What are the changes? You have deleted two things. So two deletions, one file changed. In the master branch, you are going to commit your code. I said, fine, I have committed my code in this thing. Now, committing doesn't mean that you have already pushed your code. Commit is just half of the process. It means your code is ready to push in the repository. You already committed, but you didn't push it. So it will not be visible there until and unless you push your code in the repository. So the remaining 50% part we have to do now. So I'm going to write git push -u origin master. See, earlier also it was asking for username password. Now this time also it is asking for username password. See, it is asking for this. So I'm going to write username and then password. There also it was giving you these things, right? Resolving deltas, completing with two local objects. On this repository, you have committed your code to the master, right? So 100% done, 3 of 3 done, right? Everything is done. Now I'll keep this command prompt as it is, and I'm going to open first my Git repository just to make sure. Right now it is showing 8 minutes ago. Now, if I look at the things, you will see it is just 2 minutes ago, right? I've committed in both the ways, via UI and then via command prompt. Now I want to check whether the code, whatever the code I have in my repository, the code is matching with my code, right? The code I have in my local machine. So there is a command called get status. So get status gives you the details of the code, right? Is there any difference in the code or the code is same? So the moment I write, it says on branch master, currently we are in the master branch, and your branch is up to date with origin master. It means whatever the code you have, the same code is available in the master. There is nothing to commit and your working tree is very clean, right? It means if you have, let's say, 10 lines of code in your local machine, the 10 lines of code is also available in your repository. So your branch is up to date, everything is clear, right? So the first command we have discussed here is add. Then we discuss the second command, git commit, to commit the code. To add all the files before committing, you have to use command git add full stop. And then git commit -m, and whatever the message you want to provide, you can provide the message in order to commit the code from your local machine to the repository. After this, you have used git push -u origin and the name of your branch. So git push -u, let's say right now origin, I'm using master. So I'm using origin master to push the code in the particular repository. Now what is this master? What is this main? I will tell you. And then git pull, git clone, git -a, we will check all these commands now. Now let me go back to my file here. Can you see, guys, this is my master branch, right? I have one branch. What if I want to create one more branch? Let me write here test. And then it says create the branch. So I'm going to create one more branch. Now I will be having two branches here. This is my master branch and this is my test branch. Inside my test branch also I have the code I have from my master branch, right? But if I want to change this code, I can change this code also. Now what is the significance? What is the importance of having different branches or using the multiple branches in one repository in one project? This is very important point to understand, guys. Let me show you this now. Let's say your programmer P1 is working, your programmer P1 is working on one branch, right? You have this master branch right now in your working branch, and this master branch is linked to your Jenkins part. Now you cannot disturb the code, already existed code, right? The code already existing here in this master branch because of some person. So what they generally do is, this P1 is going to work on this test1 branch first, right? And like I created test branch. So this is test1 branch and this is my test2 branch, right? And this branch is linked to my master branch. Both the branches linked to my master branch. This P programmer 1 will going to commit his code in this test1. This programmer P2 will going to commit his code in test2. because obviously he is working on home page and he is working on login page. So their code cannot be the same. This code will be different codes, right? He is going to commit in test 1, he is going to commit in test 2. Now here I have final code for H home page and I have final code for login page. Before going into the master branch, I have to merge this code and this code together, and then I have to send it in a single build in the master branch, so that because of login page, this should not happen that because of login page, home page is not working. At the same time, because of home page, login page is not working. We have to make sure that this home page and login page, both pages and the code are working together. Right now, home page is working in this machine, login page is working in this machine, but when I try to combine both this code, nothing work. This should not happen. Even if I'm merging the code, even if I'm combining the code, the final build should work. Once I get this surety, then I will send this final build into the master branch. That's why it is very important to have multiple branches for multiple people. Every day they will work in their own respective branches, and in the end of the day they will merge their code and commit their code as a final build in the master branch. Right, guys? So these are some of the basic principles what everyone follows, right? Which you should guys also follow. Now, let me come back again here, right, to my Jenkins. Whatever the things I've showed you right now, it's all about committing the process. But what if as a new developer, as a new tester, you're joining an organization and the code is already available in the repository and your manager wants you to start working on this code, right? Your manager wants you to update the code from the repository in your local machine. Right now, you're sending the code from your local machine to the repository. But this time, you are going to receive the code from the repository to your local machine. Right? So now we are going to make the process reverse. How we can do it? Let me show you that also. I'm here and it is saying to get the code, there is a download option. The moment I click on it, you will see it gives me this URL. Right, guys? Now, let me copy this URL first. Either you can download this folder, but it is of no use. We cannot download. We have to link this repository to our local machine. So whatever the folder, we are going to specify in that folder, we are going to get this code. And next time, whenever we are going to change anything in that folder, the folder is already linked with this repository. And the same code we can commit in this repository itself, right? So we are going to create a link. We are going to establish a connection between my Git repository and my local machine via this URL. How we can do it? Let me show you. Let's say I'm going to create a new folder here, right? This is my old folder. I'm going to create another folder. And the folder is, let's say, this is my folder. I want the code in this folder, in the test crash. I want that code, whatever the code I have there. Again, two ways: via UI you can take the code, or via command prompt also you can take the code. So I will give you the simplest way. Right click. The first time, if you see here, right, what is the difference in the UI? Right now, let me open this part. If I go in any existing repository, for example, this repository, and the moment I right click, it shows me git pull, git push, git sync, git commit, all these things, right? But when I open this folder, there is no git pull, git commit, git sync, git master, nothing is there, right? Because first time I have to create the git repository here. It is giving me this option, right? I'm going to take the code from the repository, which is git. So first I have to create the git repository here in order to establish the connection from that particular place. So let me do it. The moment I right click, I make it okay. Now you see, it says initialized empty git repository, and the moment I created a git repository, it gave me here .git folder by default, right? It means my git repository is already created. First time, remember guys, first time whenever you are taking the code from your repository in your local machine, what you have to do is you have to create the repository. So we have already created the repository. The next thing we have to do is we have to clone the code from there. Remember guys, we have to clone the code from there, right? And how we can clone the code? Let me show you. Let me delete it once again. Right? And we can clone the code. So you see this option, git clone. I'm creating git clone. It is asking for the URL. So remember the URL we have copied from here. This is the URL I'm going to take. So I'm going to take this particular URL. I've copied it, and then I'm going to paste this URL in this part. Fine. I'm going to paste it here. Now it shows me the repository that this will be your test crash, and here you will get this folder. Click OK. Now you see it is cloning your project from there to this place, and success. So now whatever the code, let me open it. Inside my test crash, whatever the code I have in my repository, I am able to get the same code here as well in my local machine. Right? Now see this. This is the code, the same code I have in my local machine, right? In my repository, and the same code I'm having in my local machine as well. So that's how I can take the code at the very first time, right? This is my first time code. Good, no issues. But what about someone is already working today morning? Let's say I got the code is updated. I didn't commit anything. I'm going to start my code. I'm going to start writing new code here in the existing code. But before that, a couple of people have already committed some pieces of code in the repository, and your manager wants you to get the updated code from the repository this time. So this time you can't clone the code, right? You have to take whatever the existing code your repository has. How you can do it? Let me show you that also. Let me go ahead and go back here inside my this project. So this is my code. I'm going to commit from here. Let me commit into the master branch. Fine. LC3. And then I'm going to commit this code from here. Right. So I've committed my updated code, right, in the repository. And this time, if I want to commit my code, I have to take the updated code from my repository in my test crash. Fine. I will go ahead and I will do that. How? First, I will refresh my this code here. That's not 12 minutes ago. It must be 42 seconds ago, right? So it's here. Now there is a command here. If you see, this is git pull. I have to pull the code from my origin. The remote branch is master. First check whether my branch is master or test. So if I go here, I will check the code is updated in master branch, right? So I am going to take the updated code from my master branch in my local machine. Simply go ahead, git pull, and OK. So now it is giving me whatever the code I have updated there. So see, one file changed, 3 insertions. SRC COM collection in main Java, there are 3 insertions, right? This was the updated code. And now I have got this updated code in my machine as well. So this is the whole cycle, guys, to check whatever the code you have, wherever the code you have, how many times you can take the pull from the code, you can push the code in the repository, you can commit the code, how you can provide the messages, how you can add the files, and every single thing from this explanation part from these commands. Guys, tell me if you have any questions so far in this explanation, whatever the explanation I've given so far. Do you guys have any question in it?
Yeah, actually I have a question. Can you do the same thing with the command prompt?
Definitely, definitely. So let me go back into the command prompt also. What I'm going to do is first, let's say I want to clone the code, right, in any repository. So I have to write git clone, and then here I have to provide my URL. Right, the first thing, because I've already cloned the code from the repository. Let's say I want to take the code from the repository. So git pull, from which branch I want to take the code. So origin, git pull origin master, right? Let me click on it, and then it will give me code. So already up to date, right? The branch is already up to date. It means I don't need to take any code from my master branch. But if there was a change in my master branch, it returned the updated code to me in my local machine from my branch. But it says your branch master is already up to date and you don't need to take any code. Now, let's come and let's try to create a repository from the command prompt. How we can do that? Let me create another folder here itself, right? I'm going to create another folder called, let's say, test2. I want to create a Git repository here via command prompt. How we can do it? So let me open my command prompt. I will go here, and here I have to write command called git init, I-N-I-T, to initialize, and click. It says initialized empty Git repository, right? So now when I close this, you will see this Git repository is available here, right? At the same time, if I want to commit the, if I want to take the code, right, how I can take the code from the repository? So cmd, and then I'm going to write here is git clone C. Compressing the objects, unpacking the objects, everything is done, right? And then when I open this part, can you see the repository is available here, right? So it's up to you whether you want to use the UI or you want to use the command prompt. Both these things are working, both these things are visible, and you can simply use those things. I hope you got the answer of your question.
Yes, thank you.
Great. Fine. All right, guys. So this is one of the important part, right? I've already explained the topics of mastering the things and how we can work with the Jenkins part, how we can use all of these commands. This git -a is a very basic command. We generally use this command to check whatever the branches we have in this particular repository, right? So you can check. Right now we have just master and test, so there is no point to use both these commands, but yes, you can use according to your requirement.
Thank you for watching this video. Hope the covered topics will help you in your career development and growth. See you in our next video.